Yeah, we're ready to go live. And we're about
Yes,
to
we
have a
are.
bunch of people. We're about to have a bunch of people tell us how late we are, like 45 seconds late in the comments. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another fun little couple hours that we're about to have together discussing all things cinema and all things entertainment. And back for what I believe is the third time. Yeah, one of my most frequent guests that I have here on the channel. He is one of my best friends in the entire world. Host of the Spoken Misc on Spotify, Cisco Alvarez, my
Hello,
friend.
Zach. Oh,
We
sorry, I
got a
totally cut you off. Hello, I'm glad to be here to discuss what we're going to discuss today because we got a lot to talk about.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. We have a lot to discuss. And before we continue, would you like to plug your show and where we can find you?
Of course, I am the host of the podcast, The Spoken Misc. It is a variety kind of talk show conversation. It's pretty much just me reconnecting with people, and we just literally ask each other 20 questions, whatever the hell we want, and we just talk. And that's pretty much it. It's on Spotify. It's on wherever you get podcasts. Yeah, follow me on Instagram and Facebook. That's pretty much where I post the most stuff.
There you go. Awesome. Awesome. And I have
and Zach has an episode on it too, in case you didn't know at that
point. I'm on a solo episode, and I think I'm on a group episode that you had before the election. But
yes.
Yeah, that's we're not going to get too deep into that. We have a lot of other fun topics to discuss. I have left a link to his Spotify channel down in the description box down below. So if you guys want to click on that after the show, go give him some love. He deserves it. If you haven't yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can. And hit a thumbs up also. Subscribe. Yes, yes. On the road to 600 and counting. Hopefully I can make it to 1,000 by the end of the year. We'll keep my fingers crossed on that one. But we'll see what happens. But we do have, as we were talking about, Cisco, lots to discuss. Welcome to Luke in the chat. How you doing, my friend? We got a lot to discuss, including release date changes, my friend. Disney especially made a lot of moves and some big waves in the last week. The biggest one perhaps being Black Widow being pushed back for what I'm assuming is the last time. So it's taking.
We're assuming and we're hoping.
Well, we're hoping, and now that everybody's getting vaccinated, I mean, you know, you can only hope. But basically, it has taken the old slot that Shang-Chi was occupying for the better part of this year, and Shang-Chi has then moved back to September 3rd. I don't know about you, man, but I am just. We were talking about this before we hit go, but like. I'm anti Black Widow at this point.
I think I understand it from a business perspective. Like they want to gather all the money they possibly can to have like a huge box office. But at this point, the fact that the MCU is already continuing on in the TV shows and they're putting those on streaming, like we all know where Black Widow ends up. We all know what her story is going to be at the end, at least. And this push just seems to be, I don't know, like not unreasonable, but like kind of pointless. Like it's been delayed 1.5 years now at this point. Then
yeah, it was. I think the original release date was May 1st of last year.
Was it May 1st of last year? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, 1 year and a few months then.
Yeah, a year and some change.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't think that movie's going to draw people to sit in theaters either. As much as I think that's what Disney's hoping. I don't think Black Widow is going to draw the same amount of like butts and seats as they would hope it would have before the pandemic. Because like now the hype is kind of like whatever. Like I'm not hyped for Black Widow, and maybe I'll be hyped once it gets closer. But like I'm cool with the shows. They should have just put it on like HBO, like how HBO Max is doing, and just releasing it the same day in theaters. Like if you want to see it in theaters, go for it. But it's here if you want it.
Well, that's actually what they are doing. They are offering Disney Plus Premier Access for Black Widow, so that's why I'm saying it's probably going to be the last delay that we're getting.
Yeah, I think it is going to be the last delay, but I'm not paying $30 for Black Widow at my house. No, thank you. No, siree.
You don't think it's going to be worth it?
Well, I mean, like, no. You should not be supporting this kind of practice. Like, HBO shows that they can totally take the hit and just release it on like normal, like without a problem. I know they have like weird, like it's on for like 2 weeks and then it comes off and it's only in theaters for some things. But I think that's the best
like that.
of both worlds, because like some people aren't going to go to theaters, like in general, like people are not just going to go to theaters.
Me.
And then the other part of me is like, you just don't charge $30 for something that's given to you directly. Like it's just abhorrent when you're already paying a subscription price. Like it's just not good business sense to me. And
yeah,
I don't think it should be supported.
It's like the old days of pay-per-view. If you wanted to pay to see a big fight like a Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield, you would pay a $30 fee to see that.
Yeah, but the difference is that that's a live event with people doing the thing live. Whereas this is a movie that you can replay and should be able to replay constantly over and over again. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Like if you owned it afterwards, like you technically like bought the movie, like a copy of the movie, I think that'd be better. But
yeah,
that's not what they do.
Like if you bought the Blu-ray,
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I don't know if I'm like one of the only defenders left for Black Widow, but I think like I saw a trailer for it when I went and saw Nobody in theaters last weekend, but that was a lot of fun. But it looks legitimately like the MCU's answer to Mission Impossible in me, and I'm a big fan of those movies, so I don't know. I think it could be pretty good. I think it could be a lot better.
This is not to say that I don't think it's going to be pretty good. I think that the hype of it pushing it back has like drained me of my excitement for it, is all I'm saying.
Oh, for sure. I'm for sure not as excited as I would have been last year to see it if the pandemic didn't exist. But yeah, man, it's
c'est la vie. C'est la COVID life.
C'est la COVID life. Luke is saying that he thinks there's Disney Premier Access is just Disney wanting more money, just plain old greed.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong, Luke. Yeah, Disney pretty much holds a big giant monopoly over the entertainment industry as a whole with them, like, with all their acquisitions. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Black Widow's been pushed back. Shang-Chi has been pushed back. Eternals and Spider-Man Far From Home not Far From Home, No Way Home. For right now, those have stayed in their original slots. I do have Luca in here in my notes right here. You guys can see Luca on my screen. That is keeping its original release date, but it's only going to Disney Plus. It's not going to theaters, which I'm really disappointed with, actually, because it feels like Pixar is getting the huge, because Soul was a Disney Plus exclusive when it came out, and now Luca is getting the same treatment. It's not going to theaters. So
I think the thing about Luca that Disney realized with Pixar, at least, is that people will tune in to Disney Plus to see it. People will subscribe to Disney Plus to see it because Pixar's trusted. So like how HBO Max is doing it with like Godzilla versus Kong and Judas and the Black Messiah and a bunch of these other movies to keep people still interested in HBO Max. Like honestly, I would have canceled HBO Max a while ago if they had not announced that they're releasing movies on the same day. So I think this is their way to kind of like maintain the relevancy for stuff like that, but also not overstep, because that's why Black Widow is going to be in theaters, is they want to have all the money they possibly can, but they also want people to still be subscribed.
Well, and they got to make back their big ass budget too. I think they spend like
the budget is fucking huge on Black Widow and Marvel movies. It's way bigger than
I think like $200 million on Black Widow, if I'm not mistaken, which is a lot to recuperate. You don't say. But yeah, Luca was pushed back. I'm not sure if there was like any other big release date. I know No Time to Die has been, pushed back and pushed forward so many times at this point. I think the hype has really died down for that one, as big of a Bond fan as I am. There's also, you have Fast 9, which was pushed back a few weeks. John Cena playing Vin Diesel's brother. Cisco and I have talked about that ad nauseum.
I think it'll be an interesting thing to see, because we're not getting into it. Okay, keep going.
You can't see John Cena though.
It's because it's like I won't be able to unsee John Cena. Ironically, even though the joke is that you can't see him, but I will
No.
never unsee John Cena in the role. Even when James Gunn released the trailer for Suicide Squad, I could not unsee John Cena when he was talking, which isn't bad because I think Peacemaker fits for him. It's just
Yeah,
I just can't unsee John Cena.
Yeah, did y'all in the chat see the trailer for Suicide Squad? I think it looks like it's going to be pretty fun.
It's going to be super fun.
Like,
I trust James Gunn with like anything.
Rated R also, which is a huge plus. Red Band trailer, obviously. And there was a meme going around. I believe it was Killer Croc tearing somebody in half. I can't remember if it was that character specifically, but someone was being torn in half.
No, that was definitely King Shark.
Oh, it was King Shark. Thank you. Yeah, King Shark tears someone in half. And then on Twitter, I see this meme with the caption of that picture. It says, "Man, Zack Snyder's SpongeBob movie looks like it's freaking brutal. This is Patrick Star." And now I just can't unsee that. I can't unsee that. But yeah, no, John Cena is getting his own Peacemaker series too. So already, even before the release date, they've got a lot of faith in him. So, but
that's pretty good.
Yeah, all this talk about DC is leading us into what I consider to be kind of the main-ish event of this little pod that we're doing and this little live stream. We're going to do some spoiler talk for the Snyder Cut, Zack Snyder's Justice League, which hit HBO Max almost 2 weeks ago, about a week and a half ago, I would say, if I'm being exact. So if you've never seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, go ahead and leave the stream for a little bit, and then you can pop right back in. I will be updating y'all through the Twitter. So you've been warned, fairly warned. I'm sure you guys have seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, but just to be safe, we're going to get into spoilers. I always do that. But one thing I will say for sure, this was a million times better than Justice League. A million times better.
For sure. Like this is the original director's vision finally being completed. Like Zack Snyder, I said like lots of jokes about Zack Snyder, like he's a hack and stuff like that. But
yeah,
if he's a hack, then Joss Whedon is, I don't know, worse than that. Just think about that for a second.
He's a phony.
He's a phony. Yeah, phony. That's a good way to describe it. So we finally get to see his vision completed. First and foremost, like all the things he wanted to do, we get to see that actually done. And then second, the biggest obvious change, besides everything we're going to get into more detail of, is the length. The length is double the length of the original Justice League. And I think 100% warranted and good. The length is not a problem to me. I'm one of the people that watches Lord of the Rings, all 3 movies, extended cuts all the way through for fun. And I'm going to do it sometime either this week or the next week because I've been needing to watch Lord of the Rings. So the length doesn't even matter. And honestly, when you're watching it, it doesn't feel like 4 hours. It doesn't feel like that. When I was watching it, I watched it at like 9 p.m. I didn't stop until like 1 a.m.-ish. And I didn't even realize like I was watching the movie. Like it was just that compelling and that interesting that it felt like I just texted Gabby like, hey, I'm going to start this Snyder Cut. And then like 2 hours later, she's like, are you still watching it? And like, oh yeah, I'm like halfway through. So I'll text you when I'm done. And then 2 hours flies by. And then I text her back, like, hey, are you still up?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Speaking of, got to say hi to Gabby in the chat right there.
Hello,
she
honey.
has not seen the Snyder Cut, but she does not care about spoilers. Cool.
Yeah, I've talked to her about it before.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, that Lord of the Rings comment makes me think, Kevin's probably going to pop into this chat at any time now. But
I hope so.
I did promise him a Lord of the Rings review at some point soon, and I have not gotten to it yet. I will. You know what? That should be Cisco and I's next stream, is talking about Lord of the Rings and like what we loved about it.
Tell me when you want it, so I can watch the extended cut by myself, like all the way through before.
Yeah,
I can loan you my 4K versions if you want to, because I got the 4K Blu-ray cases. Yeah,
I do have the extended cuts on my shelf along with the theatrical cut in their steelbooks. So yeah, we could. I don't know. We'll talk. But
are they 4K?
Anyway,
Well, okay. Actually, hold on. Before you do that, there's a big difference because in the 4K versions, there is not a green-blue filter over the Blu-ray versions, which do have that blue kind of gray haze filter over it. So it's better color, more real color.
Gotcha.
Just a little
Yeah,
aside. Back to Snyderverse.
just aside. Yes, back to the Snyderverse, which needs to be restored. God damn it! But you know, I really hate to admit this, but it's true. 4 years ago, when I saw the Justice League cut in theaters, I didn't really despise it. I thought it was, easy watch, disposable, if that. Liked Danny Elfman's score and then bringing back some of the old themes from some of those characters. But the Snyder Cut blew that one out of the water. And even though it was 4 hours, it did fly by in a lot of facets, even though I did have to take a couple of bathroom breaks because that is a big commitment and I had to work the next day. But damn it, I was finishing that shit. But everything Snyder did, like, that was like, he pretty much put in, I think I say this in my normal review, but he gave us pretty much 3 mini solo movies to build up all these characters, and then you get to the big beam in the sky. It's almost like the Justice League fast forwarded through all that origin and just wanted to get to the team up.
That's exactly what it did. Justice League condensed everything so much to the point of killing characters off, like not like literally, but like killing all of their character development. Like Cyborg is basically there in the Justice League, and we'll get into that in a second because I have a whole lot to say about that. The Flash gets kind of like gimped in the Justice League too. Superman's returns feels even stupider in normal Justice League, and then Aquaman sucks in that. Like everyone just has less characterization in the Justice League, and that's what plays against the movie, and it makes it worse. Like when you compare it to the Snyder Cut too, it makes it way, way worse because the Snyder Cut, I think, excels in giving the characters the moments. Like all the added stuff with the Flash and Cyborg really, really flesh them out like a whole lot more, especially because they don't have their own individual movies like Aquaman and Wonder Woman do. And it was way, way, way better than anything the original Justice League had ever done. Like it blows my mind that they took that stuff out. Like it legitimately just blows my mind.
I still can't believe it. And like even though the Aquaman solo film came out a year after Justice League, Zack Snyder was sure to give him some development. Like his version of Atlantis looked way, way different compared to what James Wan's version looks like. I feel like, in terms of the color and the style, I think I prefer James Wan's version of Atlantis a little bit more. Just because I think it's a little bit more visually appealing, but not taking anything away from Snyder in that regard. But I think I agree too. Yeah, I really, really like what they did with Aquaman in there. The Flash wasn't just the jokey young guy who was pretty much their answer to Spider-Man. He had OCD pretty much. And they used that whole scene like with the you remember that scene with the girl that he saves from the car crash?
I think that's Iris West, I think.
Iris West, okay. Yeah, from the comics?
Hold on, let me just double check.
Okay. Yeah, but point being, like, he was setting that girl up in the perfect position.
I think that was
Iris West. Okay, cool. So he was setting that girl up in the perfect position so that he could catch her, and that whole normal motion through the slow-mo, like that was handled really well also. But there was a really big new character trait for the Flash, and that he has, OCD.
He's like a perfectionist.
Yeah,
and like
a perfectionist.
Yeah, and I think the coolest thing about that is that it's his powers that kind of allow him to be like that. Like he wants to fix things, and you can see that it's because his dad's behind. Like his heroics get explained so much better in the Snyder Cut because you see that he wants to fix things. That's why he's a perfectionist. He wanted to make that moment perfect to fix it so that she would fall in love with him, which I think is one of the funniest, most Flash fucking things to do to like speed up time so much that he makes the perfect romantic hero saving, like the most beautiful thing he possibly can to like instill that moment in her mind. And then still being like scared as fuck as like a person and then dipping the second that it's over.
Yep. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I really this might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm not a big fan of this casting of Ezra Miller. Like, he still hasn't really won me over.
I'm not going to disagree, honestly.
I much prefer Grant Gustin from the TV show. He just feels a lot more like Barry Allen to me.
I know. I think I agree with that. I think Grant Gustin is a much better Flash. I think the only problem, though, is that, Grant Gustin has the entire show to develop into the Flash, and Ezra Miller had these scenes, basically.
Mm-hmm. He had,
and that's kind of the problem.
He had less than a whole episode of Grant Gustin's Flash to develop into
exactly
the same thing.
So they kind of relied on his like caricatureness, like his, oh, I'm young, I'm goofy, I'm kind of silly. Which is why I still want to see a Flashpoint Paradox movie with him. I think that'd be the best way to kind of show him off. Because after seeing the Snyder Cut, like seeing a Justice League or like Flashpoint Paradox would be amazing with him. I think it'd be very, very interesting because he's a lot more serious too than Grant Gustin. Because like Grant Gustin's Flash is low key melodramatic with his dad's relation, whereas the Snyderverse takes it more real, like it feels more grounded in reality. I mean, that's the entire thing with the Snyder Cut and that universe, but like I think it makes it a lot more compelling too.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And I gotta real quick before we move on, shout out to Chubbs in the chat. Welcome. He is here for the Justice League talk. That's what we're here for as well, my friend. We're having a good time so far. He completely agrees with us both on the Flash. Hopefully the next Flash movie lets Ezra Miller shine. I totally agree. Apparently Ben Affleck is returning as Batman in that one, as is Michael Keaton. So I don't know if that's the Flashpoint Paradox from the comics. So
I think it might be, and I'm hoping. hoping. It's my favorite Flash story because it's the best Flash story.
It'd be very, very cool, and it is being directed by Andy Muschietti, who gave us both It movies with what's his face with Bill Skarsgård. I almost said Brandon Skarsgård. I was like, no, I know that's not correct, but I think he's gonna do an excellent job helming that. I have every faith that he's gonna do great things with it. But there is one character that Chubbs mentioned in the chat that we definitely need to discuss. Cyborg. You mentioned him earlier. He was kind of just there in the Justice League, and he went from being, I think, the emotional crux of this version. Like, I freaking loved Ray Fisher in this.
Honestly, I did too. The thing that surprised me the most was how much I cared more for Cyborg and Silas's storyline than I did for literally every other person's storyline. Everyone else was just kind of like,
including Batman,
including Batman, including Superman, including Wonder Woman, including the Flash. Like everyone else was just like, okay, this is some cool scenes. But like, I actually gave a shit about Cyborg and Silas, and this is, I don't even remember the actor's name because I'm an asshole who forgot to look up his name. The actor who played Silas was fucking phenomenal. He was the best one in the entire movie. I'm not gonna hold back. Like better than Gal Gadot, better than Ben, better than Henry Cavill, better than Amy Adams. I mean, Amy doesn't have much to work with, but he was the best, like well-rounded acted character. Like he was just so good. To answer your question off, because I see it in the corner. I know for a fact that it was Thanos first because Darkseid's a copycat. And
it was Thanos, yeah. It totally was. Welcome, Doth.
Hello. But Cyborg and Silas's relationship too also made it more interesting because one of the other things that I want to talk about Snyder Cut that we kind of only touched upon was that how much this movie deals with grief and mourning.
Yes.
Like that is one thing that is definitely 100% different from Justice League. And once you couple that with the fact that Snyder was, he's literally mourning the loss of his daughter who he lost during the making of this movie, it compounds it. It compounds that feeling. And watching it, knowing that made it hurt a lot more, but also made it like I understood it a lot more because every bit deals with grief. Every section deals with grief and loss. And he really hammers on that loss. Like once what's Wonder Woman's mom's name? I don't remember her name. But when she's seeing I want to say Hippolyta, but I'm not 100% right.
I think you're right. I think you're right. But
Wait, what? Darkseid came first? That is great.
oh,
What?
no way.
So it was the opposite then. I thought it was the opposite.
Oh man,
Wow.
he tricked us. You tricked us,
Interesting.
Duck.
Interesting.
Way to go. But
Thanks for letting us know. But
yeah,
so
man.
like when she's like looking at like all the young Amazonians dying for her to take care of the mother box, like he lingers on the moments where he's grieving, and he lingers on so much of just grieving and mourning and loss and every single bit of the movie. Like he really focuses a lot. Like I was trying to like describe it. It was like kind of like seeing like it was kind of like it was literally like an adult playing with like their kids' favorite toys, almost. That's kind of the feeling that I got, and trying to sell a story about grief, loss, and acceptance, and heroism and hope, like throughout the entire thing. And from that lens, it's pretty interesting to see it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, grief was a huge theme, and it's still a relevant theme with what we're going through right now. So I think Zack Snyder's cut came out at the perfect time. Definitely long overdue.
Yeah.
And I think he definitely would have made Autumn proud. This was a lovely, lovely tribute. But yeah, I totally agree with all the points he made about Cyborg. Also, his story, I mean, I may be a little bit biased in loving Batman in this, but like, because Batman's my favorite comic book character of all time. Cyborg, though, freaking stole the show. Like that whole football scene felt right out of The Dark Knight Rises, by the way. Same
Personally, I
color
think it was just a little bit too long, but I think it's just to hammer the point that he had an entire life beforehand.
Well, yeah. And also, like, I didn't mind the length of it because, like, at least we got more development out of Cyborg,
True.
and then he just freaking shows up. He shows up in the Justice League version. But yeah, dude, this guy, I really am really hoping for a solo Cyborg movie at some point down the line, because I would love to see this character explored even deeper. Even though he got a lot of time with Zack Snyder's cut here, but no solo movie's been announced yet, which is...
And Ray Fisher also doesn't want to work with the executives at Warner Brothers because of their handling of Justice League in the first place.
Yeah.
And this is I don't want to segue into this just soon, but like I want to say that Cyborg's story compelled me more than anything else in the movie. Honestly, even more than Superman, and I love Superman, more than Ben Affleck, more than anything. And that's probably to do with Ray Fisher's like performance. Like he's the only one who like I can see struggling really with anything. Like Batfleck just gets to, my struggle is to gather the team, and he does that, and he's Batman, so he's stoic. Superman's dead. Wonder Woman is just straight up Wonder Woman, and she's always kind of been the protector of the realms of man and the Amazons. And then Aquaman, his is like, I'm angsty and I don't want to be the king yet. And he kind of, you see that transition to be like, maybe I'll be king. But like Cyborg was literally the one that was like, I hate who I am. I hate everything about me. And then at the end, he realizes that like he's a fucking hero. And the other thing about it is Snyder really showed just how fucking powerful Cyborg is in a digital age. The one thing that like I like never connected in my head, because I guess I'm a fucking dummy. But like when he was saying like you can manipulate financial markets, you can do whatever you want, I was like, holy shit, you're right. Cyborg is god tier like hero in this day and age. I would have said the same thing back in like 2007, but like in 2021, holy fuck, he's powerful. He is so powerful. And I think that's awesome. And I want that explored. I want to see how like a cyborg in this day and age could work.
But alas, I mean, if Marvel wants to scoop him up for a project, I mean, I'm all for it. That's DC's loss is Marvel's gain in that regard.
True.
But I will actually kind of disagree with you on one front. I was really invested in the Batman stuff. Really? I don't know if I'm just biased because I love the character of Batman, but his scenes with freaking Alfred, Jeremy Irons plays him extremely well. Like, I loved it. I loved it. The nightmare stuff was really fascinating.
Actually, I'm not saying that like it wasn't good, but that ending scene with Batfleck talking to Jared Leto's Joker when he says like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, make no mistake. I was like, you know what? If you're gonna lean hard into the murderous Batman, fuck yeah, lean into it. And I'm glad they did.
Yeah, they did, but still not a fan of Jared Leto's Joker. I just don't think he fits. He's just playing Jared Leto. Yeah,
Do not disagree. Do not disagree.
I mean, if they had put Joaquin Phoenix in there just for shits and giggles, like I would have been holy crap.
Like, that would have been wild.
Could
I would love to see them like fight in the same different universes, like the Flashpoint shows, like the Joaquin one and then the Jared Leto one. That'd be kind of interesting.
Could you have imagined if Jared Leto's Joker was replaced with Joaquin Phoenix instead? Like, how wild would that have been? But we got a few comments to go through here. Luke says, I probably should have watched the Snyder Cut instead of Flags of Our Fathers. I just decided to watch it with a friend of mine to see how it was. Definitely not Clint Eastwood's best movie. Yeah.
It probably would have been a better time when I haven't seen Flags of Our Fathers, but
yeah,
Snyder Cut's definitely got some redeeming qualities.
Clint Eastwood hasn't really put out a fantastic movie in years.
That too.
I think his last like truly good movie, I guess you can say, was Sully, the one he did with Tom Hanks as the pilot. I really liked that one. I think it's kind of overlooked, but what was that, 5 years ago, I think? Good Lord. Chubb says, I actually enjoyed Martha Kent and Lois Lane grieving for Clark while the world grieved for Superman. Yeah.
That was actually that was another cool thing that I thought about the whole mourning and grief and loss stuff, like the different ways people process grief. Like you have the big monument for like everybody basically and how, people put offerings and stuff. But the way that like Lois and Martha grieved was like, holding his stuff, moving his stuff and like, putting it in boxes and everything. And as unfortunate as it sounds, I have a feeling that Zack was very much feeling that part of the grieving process when he was remaking Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
Because I could feel it. I felt it. It resonated. The
parallels are certainly there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, Lois Lane, poor Lois Lane, even with an improved cut of the Justice League, like she just feels like she's there. I don't know what it is. Amy Adams is a great actress. Like she doesn't give a bad performance, but the character just kind of feels like she's going through the motions. I really don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the writing.
No, that's exactly what it is. It's both the writing and the fact that typically Lois Lane isn't a key factor in Justice League plans unless it ties directly to Superman. And like, even though they say Lois is the key, like it doesn't make Lois an interesting key. Like,
no,
if you don't write her to be more interesting. No. Like I would prefer if she like were still like a reporter. I like that she willingly chose not to go back to work. I thought that was an interesting character choice. But in that choice of not being an active participant in the movie and just showing grief, it kind of dulls her character just slightly. But like this is the point of the movie. The point of the movie is the grief. So she fits perfectly where she is. But as always, I wish we could get more Lois Lane characterization.
Well,
but there's so much other characterization going on. It would have just been added time.
It would have, yeah. Oh, yeah, you don't say. Yeah, one thing I will say I'm happy with regarding Lois Lane is they didn't Gwen Stacy her. They didn't have her choose to be at the battle because it was like she wanted to be there. And yes, I will take any chance I can get to roast the Mark Webb Spider-Man movies because those suck. But
Fact. All
right, here's Duff. He's proud he met Ray Fisher and Ezra Miller at cons. So very, very cool. Awesome. What's up, Eric? Welcome. We're just discussing Justice League, the Snyder Cut right here. He also says the Snyder Cut was pretty close to being a masterpiece. This cut made me love every member of the league. Yes, 100%. Triple feature. Welcome, my friend. This is fantastic. Cyborg, so much brooding. Oh.
I mean, yeah, but it worked for me. It worked. If Batman can brood and be upset, I'm okay with Cyborg doing it.
You guys never fail to make me smile. This is part of why I love doing this. The Snyder Cut, I already did that one. I thought Jared Leto's Joker was fine in this. Eric says he's nothing special still, but he at least had better material to work with this time around than in Suicide Squad, and I think interacting with Batfleck elevates it. Yeah, he didn't interact with Batfleck, I don't think, one time in that original Suicide Squad. Do you want them to release the air? Do you want them to? Sorry to cut you off. Do you want them to release the air cut, Cisco?
I think I want them to give Batman and Jared Leto's Joker a actual proper, Batman versus Joker movie. I think that'd be the best and honestly only good way to kind of show off the acting chops, because they're both great actors. Jared Leto's, psycho and cultish, but he's a fantastic actor. Like I hate that I have to admit that, but like when you're giving a character and you're told by like one director, this is how I want him to be, like, modern day gangster kind of manipulative asshole, versus Zack Snyder, which is like, it's post-apocalyptic. Nothing fucking matters anymore. You've lost it. You've fought this Batman and stuff. It is very different seeing these different versions of him, because they're both not good enough for what we get, because they're short scenes. Because like having the Joker explain how he killed Jason Todd and ripping Batman a new one for it, and then making jokes that he'll give him a reach around and stuff like that, it's fine for the scene, but it doesn't show enough of the dynamic. It just shows that they hate each other, and the Joker's kind of a bit more like little creepy. And I kind of do like that about this version of the Joker, that he's kind of like the Joker's like, I'll make fun of you, Batman, right into your face, because you're fucking obsessed with me, and I know you are.
Yep.
Because I'm obsessed with you. It's like a creepy crush kind of thing, and I love that. I think that's very interesting.
Getting into the Lego Batman dynamic there.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Lego Batman movie, Cisco?
Yes, I have, and that's exactly why. Like, I love that play on it. Like, it's very interesting.
I love it.
It's like ridiculously homoerotic, but like Batfleck is not having. He's like, "Fuck you! I will kill you. I just need you right now," which I think is I think it's fun. Yeah. I think it'd be interesting to see them in a bigger movie.
It's like the best bromance of all time: Batman and Joker in the Lego Batman.
Yeah.
Duff would have been mind blown if Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern came out, and Ryan almost did the cameo.
That would have been fucking amazing. Would have been wild.
I would have
ridiculous, but also amazing.
Oh, for sure. Eric, I thought Lois was really great in this. She is going through the motions. I think that's the point, because she's deep in depression. Yep. Yeah.
Exactly.
I do think she's better in Man of Steel and that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even in Batman v Superman, I agree with you on Man of Steel. Batman v Superman, I'm kind of on the fence about still with her. I feel like she's still kind of going through the motions there, but I don't know. She was, nothing against Amy Adams at all
in Justice League.
Oh, yeah. And she looks the part too, It's great. Sorry, Duff. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. I hope Andrew Garfield returns in No Way Home.
I hope he returns. I hope he shows up in No Way Home. That'd be cool. As far as
this is like
First Amazing Spider-Man, I'm going to disagree. I think it's okay. It's not bad.
This is like
it's not great.
This is like Marvel's worst kept secret right now. Like, I know that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to turn up somewhere, because like how weird. How strange would it be if you have one of what's his face, one of Tobey Maguire's best villains, Doc Ock, show up, and one of Andrew Garfield's best villains, Electro, show up, but it's just the villains and you don't have the heroes. Like, how weird would that be?
Very weird.
Like, something's fishy here. Dodd also says he wants the air cut out as soon as James Gunn's Suicide Squad has had its run. Yeah, that makes sense. Because James Gunn's Suicide Squad will probably be better anyway. But
don't think Ayer's cut would make it like that much of an improvement. But I mean, I'm always down for more Diablo scenes or more Harley Quinn scenes.
Oh, same. I'm down for more Birds of Prey. Let's see. Yeah, the Nightmare scene was amazing overall, so I'm glad the Joker was there. It was really exciting narratively. I think the Nightmare scene showed up in the epilogue, if I'm not mistaken, and that was one of my my big complaints with it in general. I think the epilogue went on a little bit too long for my liking, a little bit Return of the King in that respect.
Yeah.
Gabby likes Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man too. We're not. We're just saying.
They're not bad. They're not great.
Luke puts it really well. He hates the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'd rather watch Tobey Maguire dance in the streets as emo kid. Oh, when you've hit
2 has
that
so many
low,
problems.
no,
Like
I
I
would
think the
rather
biggest
watch.
problem with AS2 is fucking Electro. Like they made him like the stereotypical like 80s kind of like nerdy with glasses, and he's kind of like a weird comb over dude. I'm like, this was like the stupidest characterization ever. Like this is just trash way to characterize someone. And not Jamie Foxx is not a bad actor. It's just bad direction.
Well, you know what they did? They Jim carried him. Remember the Riddler in Batman Forever? You remember how geeky he was?
Mm-hmm.
Like Electro in AS2 is even more geeky than that, which is saying something. And if you've seen Batman Forever, Eric says, "Am I the only one that enjoys viewing Batfleck as a continuation of Bale's Batman?" Ooh, I know it's not, but I love the Dark Knight trilogy so much. I like to pretend nothing in the DCEU has actually contradicted it. I never even thought about that. And he continues on right here. Since they never actually said the name of Robin in the DCEU, I like to pretend it was Blake from The Dark Knight Rises or Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That was Robin Joker killed, and that's why Batman has to come back. Dude.
That's a good headcanon.
Dude,
that's a cool headcanon.
Eric, you just blew my entire mind. Like, I can't, like, what?
That is a good headcanon because the Batman's older. He lost to Robin. The only thing that I think kind of throws it in the wrench is if they ever like introduced like Nightwing or any of the other Robins. But that's a really cool headcanon. I can buy that, but I don't think it's definitely not connected or anything because I think the characterization of Christian Bale and Batfleck are very, very different. Like Bale would like that Batman, I believe, would never kill anybody. Like never, not for anything. Even if he were like, was killed, like he would never kill. Batfleck is very different from that.
Yeah. If Manda ever shows up in the chat or if she ever watches this, she will defend BVS until the cows come home. But the theatrical cut never explicitly gives us a reason as to why Batman kills people. Like there's never a scene where he says, "Yeah, well, they killed Robin and I have no choice." You know, I would have gotten behind it if they did that, but the way they presented it, I agree, they completely erased the moral code of Batman, which is a big thing for him in the comics.
And it's the thing that most people can't get over that are fans of Batman. Like when you watch BVS, seeing him kill people, like when you don't explain or don't show the Joker beating the shit out of Jason Todd, like you won't feel it. You don't get it. You're like, why is Batman killing people? I don't understand. And you can show, a dead Robin's costume all you want, but it's not the same as showing the scene or showing how it impacted Batman. Like showing the afterwards is not a good way to kind of convey that part of the story. And it really hindered Batman because I could buy Batman snapping, but I'd have to be shown why he snapped.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't just like fast forward the videotape and show us like, the ending part of the story without giving us that big like meaty part before that,
Exactly.
So that's pretty much what they did with that Robin angle. Eric loves BPS though, despite all that. So, I mean, hey, you can like what you like.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good movie, but you can like it.
The thing that makes BBS like, bad, I don't think it's a bad movie at all. But I do think it suffered from the publicity that it got because they pretty much unloaded all of its surprises in that final trailer that they put in the theaters.
True. They did kind of load on trailers.
Imagine if Wonder Woman just showed up in the movie and we had no clue she was in there. Like, no trailers, no hints that she was going to be in there. Imagine if it was a complete surprise until the movie came out. And not just in the trailer. Like, what could have been, but alas. Triple feature. The epilogue of this film was just Snyder vomiting out all his ideas that he knows will never come about. It didn't even feel coherent or cohesive.
I'm not disagreeing. Can't disagree. But the thing is, like, the ideas were interesting. I would love to see them explored, just maybe, but not by Zack Snyder. But yeah, he was pretty much just like, these are all the things that could have happened afterwards, and I'm like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah, God, I'm so sad we're not getting a sequel to this Justice League. I would have loved that for Zack.
Yeah. I just want him to.
I hope they release the
to work on his
Schumacher
script.
cut of Batman
I
Forever.
want him to work on the script. That's the only thing. Schumacher cut of Batman Forever. Oh my god! Please no. Please don't give me any more of campy Batman. I hate campy Batman with burning passion.
Schumacher's dead, buddy. That's not happening. May he rest in peace. Like, you know. Batman Under the Red Hood tells a better story. Yeah. Oh, that was so
Arkham
good. And
City
Jason Todd
tells a better, or Arkham Knight tells a better story too.
Yep. Yeah. I really appreciate that they gave Jason Todd a spotlight in Under the Red Hood. I would really love to see him thrive in a live action movie, but
I wish Jensen Ackles could play him again, but he's too old.
Yeah.
Jensen Ackles is something else, though. It's going to be cool.
Freaking Luke. He doesn't really care for BVS. I'd rather laugh my ass off at Schwarzenegger's terrible puns. Jesus.
I agree.
You'd rather suffer through Batman and Robin?
Well, it's just you can laugh. It's like watching The Room. Like, you can go through it and you can pick it apart. But like Zack Snyder's just BVS. It's like it's too serious and there's a lot of good stuff, but then it's also like a lot of bad stuff. And that's the
True.
That's like the review of all of Zack Snyder stuff. There's like a lot of cool, awesome, amazing things, and then there's other things that just fall short.
High 300. Duff also says Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition is better. Yeah, it is. The Snyder trilogy is the best of the DCEU for me by far. I enjoyed the rest still, though, except for Suicide Squad and Theatrical Justice League. I don't even count that. I am planning on ranking the DCEU movies very, very soon. But like, my favorite DC. Go ahead, Cisco.
Here's the thing about the DCEU. It's very disjointed.
Yeah,
and I can't really, unfortunately, call it an extended universe or a cohesive universe. And I know that in like comics, it's okay to have different runs with different writers and different everything. In cinema, it's a lot more difficult to pull that off while maintaining the same actors and similar storylines, and also make it so like these culmination movies feel good with that. Because if it's not disjointed and not thought about as a single cohesive unit from here on out, like Kevin Feige did with the MCU, it makes everything else suffer. Like watching Justice League after watching Aquaman makes this movie suffer a little bit more. You know? Mm-hmm. Because the timing is weird and it's off. And then there's a different Batman, it's Robert Pattinson. And then there's a different Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, because they're still part of the DCEU. You know, they're all universes, but like you can't help but compare them to each other. And so it makes it very difficult to.
Well, if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in fact in No Way Home, like I think they're going to be, like Marvel's going to start treading those waters too.
True, and like, it's going to start suffering for it a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I'm somewhat concerned for No Way Home. As excited as I am to see it, but I mean, we'll see how they pull it off. They pull it off. I'm hoping it's good. You know,
I mean, if they literally just stick to like kind of like the same thing that they did with fucking what was Miles Morales' movie? I can't remember the name. Into the Spider-Verse. If they kind of do the same thing as Into the Spider-Verse, and they all go, you know, back to normal at the end of it, I think it'll be okay to kind of be like cap bow, like everything's different times, different everything. MCU's gonna move on without Maguire and Garfield, but you know, we acknowledge our past and hope everyone's having a good time.
Oh, for sure. That's a lot of people's most anticipated movie of this year too. Mm-hmm. And that's coming out in December, when I'm assuming theaters are all going to be open. So, you know, back to relative normal. One other thing that we forgot to talk about with the Snyder Cut before we move on to our last little topic here, the villain Steppenwolf. Duth mentioned Darkseid in this. Darkseid does make an appearance in the Snyder Cut, but Steppenwolf was such a huge improvement, not just visually, but he had actual motivations. And you understood why he felt the way he did, and his voice was better, and he didn't look like a dragon's ass like he did in the Justice League, you know?
Here's the thing where I'm going to disagree. I think I like Steppenwolf's voice in Justice League, I think, a bit more than this one. But only because it was, you know, he had like a more like Britishish, like kind of raggedy voice in Justice League. But then that's it. That's the only thing I like better in the Justice League. The only thing, just like the way he spoke. That's literally it. Because everything else is better in this version. Because his voice is clearer, obviously. You understand his motivations more. His eyes, his entire face design got changed, so he looked more human-ish, or more like a living being with sympathy. Like you could see him be upset. Like you could see him be not human because he's not human. More being. You could see him being more being, and I love that. I thought that was really great. It gave him a lot of depth and nuance that I think was lacking in the first one, because the first one's like, mother.
Oh, we lost you. It's a live podcasting. I'm still not hearing you. Cisco. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Hold tight, everybody.
Hello. There we go.
There we go. There it is. There it is.
Never accidentally unplug your cords, guys. But I was saying, Steppenwolf in Justice League is just like, mother. He has like a weird, like, mommy like thing. Like it's just, it doesn't work. Yeah, he was weirdly cute in this version. Like he looks like a being, like a little kid. Like please love me, Daddy Darkseid. Like please don't fucking murder me. Let me come home. And I like that. I think that was interesting. I felt bad for him when they chopped off his head. Like I did. I was like, oh, that sucks for you, man. Like you killed people,
so
but like
brutal.
It was.
That death, like that's another thing I really respected about Snyder's vision for this. Like a lot of the action was a lot more brutal than it was in the Jake.
And way better too. Way better.
Felt very watered down.
Like 10 times better.
Yep. Like, loves the Amazonian fight.
Yes. Steppenwolf taking down Amazons and their horses was like, I was like, fuck, that's awesome. And then Wonder Woman in the terrorist scene, when like they show her move like super fast, like faster than like a normal human being. I was like, this is fucking how they should be. Like it's just like the action scenes are just chef's kiss. Like they're super good.
Oh yes. Absolutely great. Let's see. Eric felt bad for him, but it was one of the most badass deaths in any movie ever, I gotta say. Yeah. It was
a fair trade-off.
I mean, not to say these are similar because they're both beheadings, but it reminded me a lot of Ned Stark's death in season 1 of Game of Thrones. Except, you know, it's a villain, not a hero. Beheading. Yeah, I mean, it's just a beheading. Yeah, it's the same thing. But yeah, anything else you want to mention about the Snyder Cut, Cisco, before we move on to this little segue you wanted to make?
Yes. So I think the biggest thing that is apparent in the Justice League versus Snyder Cut, I talked to you a little bit about it beforehand, is the relation of its only black superhero, Cyborg. In Justice League, he was gimped completely. Like his entire storyline scrapped, rendered to the cutting room floor. And it felt like that. When you watch the movie, you're like, why the fuck is Cyborg here? Like, he's so useless. Like, I literally remember watching the first one going like, why is Cyborg even in this movie? Like, he's kind of useless right now. And then you watch this version. You watch the Snyder Cut, and you realize how integral he was to the entire story of Mother Bucks' superheroism and just generally a character, a person. And there's a lot of other stuff that goes on behind the scenes that Ray Fisher has talked about, but like you can't help but wonder, like, why did Warner Brothers gimp their only black superhero? Why? Because there's not that much added scenes that Snyder added for Cyborg. There's not much. He probably had a couple of reshoots for stuff here and there, but a lot of the stuff that's in it was probably there from the beginning. They just didn't use it. And so you start to wonder, why did they not celebrate their black superhero? And coming from what Ray Fisher has said, it seems like there's a lot of executives at Warner Brothers that are just low-key kind of racist. Because I remember reading something that he said was like, they don't want to have a black person be the heart of the movie. And when you watch the Snyder Cut, he is the heart of the movie. He is the best part of the movie.
Yep.
And that is not apparent at all in the Justice League. Like it's absent. It is completely absent. And I think it's horrible. Like I want to see a Cyborg movie after this movie. And it is one of the things that like I don't understand why they felt the need to just cut that part of the story. Like I would have felt somewhere more compelled if they'd given Cyborg in the original Justice League release more Cyborg stuff and then less, I don't know, Batfleck stuff. Like just tweak the balance a little bit. Like it would have been a lot more compelling and I think a lot better. And the other thing is that now because of all that drama, we won't get a Cyborg solo movie. And like I don't know if it's like just Joss Whedon's fault or Jeff Johns or whoever else is executive decision makers at Warner Brothers, but that Cyborg movie is never going to happen. And I'm upset about that because it could have so much potential. And it's all due to someone just not wanting a black superhero being the center of the movie. And I think that's really stupid, especially when you compare it to what Marvel's doing right now with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. When you really look at it, it's fucking abhorrent what Warner Brothers is doing. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Because it really is, man.
Because
sorry.
I was going to segue into the Falcon and Winter Soldier talk because, like, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they touch on race so much in this show. Like, they do not shy away from it whatsoever. Because even in Snyderverse, like, Cyborg happens to be black. Like, if you had transposed them between white characters, the storyline wouldn't necessarily change too much. It's like not super important, but the fact that they felt the need to cut back on it anyways is the biggest problem. Because like Marvel's like leaning hard into it, very hard into it, whereas Warner Bros. Was like, we're not gonna do this stuff.
Well, and even before Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I'll make a formal segue into it in just a second. I got a shout out in the chat to Michael. Welcome. We are just kind of wrapping up talking about the Snyder Cut, but we're gonna dig a lot deeper into the Marvel TV shows that we've gotten. Hey, Michael. Eric says he also asks, where are you at in Game of Thrones? Have you seen season 4 yet? Unfortunately, I have not started season 4 of Game of Thrones yet. I got sick at the beginning of this month, not COVID related, thankfully. The month of March has been really busy for a lot of us movie YouTubers. So, yeah, I will start Game of Thrones season 4 very soon, and I will have more Game of Thrones content coming very soon also along with that. He doesn't understand a single decision Warner Brothers made with the theatrical cut. Yeah.
Here's the decisions. We need it to be shorter. We can't have a black person be the heart of the movie. That's it. That's literally it. Yeah. Those are the decisions.
Which gets us into the Marvel TV talk right here.
Yes, but before we leave completely, the addition of Martian Manhunter in Snyderverse was fucking awesome. I cried like a little boy when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, Martian Manhunter's in this movie. I do think it's weird to have him be Martha and telling her Lois to come back to the living. I thought that was a little bit awkward, but having him in there made me happy. Having him at the end scene made me happy. I'm not upset with shameless cameos. Yeah. And Marvel does it all the time. Like, why can't they do it?
Yep. There you go. Even though we're not going to get another Zack Snyder movie in the DC universe, most likely, but yeah.
I'm only slightly upset.
Segueing into the Falcon and Winter Soldier, I am really liking this show. I know we're only 2 episodes deep. I think I'm still liking WandaVision just a tad bit more, but I really, really love the development we're getting with Anthony Mackie, and I can definitely see where this is going because he's going to end up getting that shield by the end, I'm pretty sure.
And not only is he going to get it by the end, he's going to fucking earn it. And that's, I think that's the best part about this show is that I know he's going to earn it. And he has to earn it while being black in America. In the first episode, they don't shy away from it. They literally say that like black people can't get as much loans as, another normal white person, white family can, like they literally just talk normal problems within not just black communities, but this is something that like other minorities face too. And they don't shy away from it. they literally were like, this is what the world is. The world was fucked up before. It's a little bit more fucked up now, and the same problems are still here. They're always going to kind of be here. And then in the second episode, when they're going to the first super soldier after Captain America that succeeded, and he walks by the kids, he's like, "Hey, that's Black Falcon," and he's like, "It's just Falcon. What are you, Black Kid? Is that how you want to be described?" And it gets to the point, like.
I loved how he delivered that line too.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of like, I get what you're saying. There was a lot of like real heft to what he was saying, but the way he delivered it was almost like, okay, you're giving us this big old message, but you're doing it in a comedic way. And that was something I wasn't really expecting Marvel to do. And I think it really worked. It really worked.
It does. And I think the whole point of that scene specifically was because he's going to face a whole lot of criticism once he picks up that shield. Oh, it's the Black Captain America. Oh, it's that Black leader of the Avengers. He's Black this, Black that, when he is just going to need to be straight up Captain America. And I think that's what the whole struggle is going to be, is him earning that title in the face of the world and everyone who doesn't want him to be Captain America by saying, fuck you, I am going to be Captain America, kind of.
Well, I don't want John Walker to be Captain America.
Neither do I.
Oh man! And as soon as I figured out who it was that was playing him, it's Wyatt Russell. Everybody, the guy from Overlord, a movie I really liked. I think Overlord is really underrated. It's like a World War II zombie flick. It's really, really neat, and Wyatt Russell does a great job in it. I think he's doing really good with this material. For right now, I mean, I hate John Walker's freaking guts. I think he's such a phony, but like he's like the Gilderoy Lockhart of the MCU. That's what he is. Anybody who watches Harry Potter, But,
sound off.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think is interesting in that they made him a lot more sympathetic than I expected him to be, because I know in the comics US Agent's kind of always been kind of like an asshole, but in this one they make him so much more understandable. Like he's gotten 3 Medal of Honors, he's done tours all across the world, he's done his service, he's trying to be a good person. And I think that's the other thing, is like he's actually trying to fit Cap's shoes. And I think it's going to be interesting once they show what happens when he can't fill them. Like we're already getting hints of it, like when he can't stop the flag smashers on the trucks. Like you can feel the weight. Like he feels like he's not good enough. And I know that's going to make him do stupid decisions. And I already see the train wreck coming. And I can see where Falcon and Bucky are coming from. Where like, you're not Cap, you'll never be Cap, because Cap was good at heart all the way through from beginning to end.
It's a villainous Cap. I don't think the villain is going to be Baron Zemo, guys.
I don't think he's going to be a villainous. I think he's going to be anti-heroist. Like, I think he's going to just be the most like real kind of reflection on what would happen if a normal soldier got Captain America's like serum. And I think that's what they're going to try to show, is like Cap was different, and why he's Captain America was because he was a good man first and foremost, not a good soldier. Whereas John's a good soldier first and foremost, and not necessarily a good man.
John Walker's arc, I can already tell, is pretty much going to be, he's got the if I can talk, the credentials. There's a D in that word, I'm sure. The credentials to fill Cap's shoes. He can talk the talk, but can he walk the walk?
Exactly.
And the answer to that is going to be no. But anyway, so let's get to some more comments here real quick. Eric's loving the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but he doesn't think it'll top WandaVision because it was one of his favorite MCU projects, period, and one of his all-time favorite shows, like top 5 favorite shows.
No, it does a lot of good. It does a whole lot of good, especially those homages to old school television.
Oh,
and how they tied it into Wanda's psyche. Like, amazing. Like,
WandaVision was batshit insane. A lot better than I was expecting it to be going in. I was very surprised that there was no Doctor Strange cameo thrown in there, because it is going to tie into Multiverse of Madness. And I learned, I say this in my, formal review for this, but I learned a valuable lesson with WandaVision. Don't expect anything, really, or don't over expect, because Monica was going on and on and on about this aerospace engineer guy that she was going to bring in to examine this. And I was like, holy shit, we're going to see Reed Richards. Here he comes. But no Reed Richards. We still don't know who's playing the Fantastic Four, but no hint. I mean, John Krasinski, I know, has had talks with Marvel Studios, but
They'll drop it when they feel like blowing our minds. That's how I see it.
yep, that's what's gonna happen. But we'll see what happens with that. Luke is planning on watching Falcon and Winter Soldier during his spring break. It mainly depends on if I have the urge to. Get the urge. It's great.
It's worth it. It is already shaping up to be. I think it's going to be my favorite MCU show once it's done. Even more than WandaVision. But I also have a different opinion because I'm Mexican American, so I have a very much different relation to how Captain America should be.
Eric kind of likes John Walker. He wants Sam to be Cap, but John Walker is an ass. I know he's got charisma. He definitely does. He was good in that action sequence from last week, and that was a really cool fight scene on top of those semi trucks. It was directed so well. I loved that.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I think I liked that even more than the canyon flight sequence, just because I think the stunts were a lot more impressive there.
I think they were, but that flight scene was like it showed off the Falcon, like it showed him off. It's like you thought that he was just kind of like a flying Avenger beforehand, but it's like no, he's like a fucking amazing like pilot with those things. Like the shit that he does is amazing,
majestically graceful. Is what he is.
And it's like, awesome, and it's absolutely awesome.
It's great stuff there. Do you guys think John Walker is the one that texted the threat to Carly?
Don't think so.
Yeah, probably not. I think
it was one of the power brokers, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, probably. I do have a hunch that John Walker may end up the villain of this. I did predict that Wanda was going to be the villain of WandaVision, but she was villainous for a while, but then it was Agatha all along, of course.
I mean, it wasn't technically Agatha. I think the villain of WandaVision isn't Wanda or anything. It's grief. I mean, Wanda did control that town of people, but if that grief had never existed, she wouldn't ever have snapped. It was very much like obvious that she didn't choose to do it at first. She kept the play going, and that's where her problem lies, is that she kept them there against their will.
Amen. Yeah, similar to the Snyder Cut, WandaVision was all about grief. Wanda created that whole world because she was distraught over the loss of her brother, and more recently over the loss of Vision himself. And there was a point where she took his corpse out of the freaking whatchamacallit, like the Sword headquarters. It wasn't the Shield headquarters. It must have been Sword at that point.
And she didn't take the body out. She never did.
No, but she was playing Weekend at Bernie's with his body.
Well, no, because she created the Vision she created was like the Mind Stone. Like it was just she literally created him out of thin air. She never grabbed the body. Only the guy was trying to paint her as the villain.
Oh, the freaking Hayward guy that everyone thought was Mephisto.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been way more interesting than guy who shoots kid at the end.
Right. Spoiler alert, no Mephisto in WandaVision either, even though everybody was predicting that months ago.
And the red herring of Quicksilver, it's just a red herring. It's just there.
God,
that one was the most egregious thing to me that I thought was absolutely ridiculous. Like you don't I get that you can play around with that, but now you just wasted Evan Peters. Like you can't have him in the MCU ever now. For anything.
I really never thought that Marvel Studios would bait and switch me like that, but they did, and it's freaking Ralph Boner.
It's fucking it's a boner joke. Like how
you're just making an ass out of him.
Yeah,
that's all you're doing, and you're making an ass out of me for thinking it was going to be the new Quicksilver.
Not even a new Quicksilver. It would have been interesting if he was I did have a sister, back at home, but she's way younger, or
right.
I'm not from here, or just saying I'm not from around here. I don't know where I'm at. That would have been more interesting. But they're boner.
Yeah, my guess for WandaVision, especially after Evan Peters showed up, I was oh, this screams House of M. That whole comic storyline where Wanda basically creates that whole alternate reality and then Professor X has to come in and stop her. I was are we really going to see Professor X in here? Spoiler alert again. We don't get Professor X, and we don't know. We probably won't know who's going to play Professor X in this universe for another decade.
I think 5 years from now. I don't think it's going to be another decade.
5 years from now. I hope it's Bryan Cranston. Man.
I didn't even think about that until just now. And I want that.
freaking die.
Also,
I heard rumors about Al Pacino, but I'm like,
no. Al Pacino doesn't have the right demeanor. Not at all.
No. Al Pacino can play someone else, but
Definitely.
yeah, not Professor X, but House of M. How wrong I was there. Again,
but here's maybe Multiverse of Madness will touch upon House of M stuff. I think that'd be the best way if they do it. Like, I want them to go crazy with like Wanda being able to create universes and shit. Like, I want her to go balls to the walls powerful. And I think it would be the most awesome way to kind of rope in mutants by having her create them because she saw them in another universe. I think that would be the most amazing way to do it because like when they revealed that she's born a witch, like in my head, I was like, she could be a Nexus being because she's a witch, she's a mutant, and she's interacted with the stone. Like, she is like super powerful because she's all three of those things, you know? And how awesome would it be if, because of all those things, she brought mutants to the MCU in that way? Like,
it'd be beautiful. It'd be beautiful. You know, Multiverse of Madness. I have a question for the chat, and I have a question for Cisco, and I think we can both give our thoughts one after the other. But who do you think the villain's going to be in that one? Because I have a few theories.
I feel that it might be finally actually Mephisto. That's one theory.
You think it'll be Mephisto?
Yeah, I also think the villain might not be necessarily like embodied, like how WandaVision was. It might be not grief, but like the universe is collapsing kind of thing, or like things bleeding in because of Cap's time travel stuff, and because remember how the Ancient One was saying that like these are your timelines, and then when they get out of sync, everything goes weird and crazy. Basically, what they're trying to do is going to try to bring it all back to sync and make it steady again.
I see. Yeah.
Maybe. That's a possibility, but who knows?
That would make sense. Yeah. Mephisto is definitely a possibility. Wanda herself is another possibility,
True.
I think, because, you know, she still has some unfinished business on the dark side.
For sure.
I would really love to see Nightmare in a Doctor Strange movie very, very soon. Preferably played by Gary Oldman, but that could be wishful thinking because some people are not too hot on Gary Oldman right now because the Academy really loves him. But
I think he's
a great actor.
He is. I think he's just a bit older than I think I'd want someone to be in the MCU at this point.
Right, but Nightmare, like, it doesn't really matter what age Nightmare is. Like,
that's true. Marvel does have a tendency to dispose of villains like after their movie too. So
you could theoretically cast anyone. Nightmare is like this immortal being.
Yeah, like, I mean, but like, I feel like Gary Oldman would be a good person to have around in the MCU if he were younger.
Yeah, I think the most likely villain, though, for Multiverse of Madness might be Mordo himself, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Maybe just to play into the too many sorcerers angle that he had in the first film's post credits, but I don't know. That's a year away. I totally
forgot about that. You're right.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. It's a year away from now. We still got a long time to theorize about it. Sure. Eric says the Quicksilver thing kind of drove me crazy. Yeah, you and us both. But Cisco's about to explode. He kind of likes Hayward, though, like as a villain, I mean, although the finale didn't really do him justice. Yeah, he was kind of sidelined in the finale, wasn't he? Like, it's almost like the writers forgot about him.
It's more like it's definitely because like, what does this dude like do once he's faced against them? Oh, he shoots some kids. Like, what? What
a badass! What a badass!
What a fucking dumb way to make him obviously a villain. You know, like you can't add nuance to him. You can't just make him something somewhat different. Like, try to talk Wanda out of it with like logic and reason. Like, hey, you're actually a fucking horrible person manipulating all these people. Stop doing what you're doing and having her bad. No, he's like, nah, let's make it known that I'm the villain by shooting at your kids that technically exist but don't exist. I just don't.
Good Lord. Yeah.
I just don't get it.
He was very, very traditional, very plain. Mm-hmm. Oh, could you imagine this? Giancarlo Esposito for Magneto. If you got him with Bryan Cranston as Charles Xavier, you got freaking Walter White and Gus reuniting in the MCU, playing opposite each other again. Like, that's a dream casting come true right there. I love that.
That is amazing. The only thing that I wonder is if instead of like Magneto being a victim of like the Holocaust, being a victim of some other kind of genocide or something.
Well,
Because the whole thing about Magneto is that he survived and fought through the Holocaust as a mutant and because of his mutantness. And I think that's a huge part of his character and demeanor. And they could still technically have Giancarlo Esposito be one of the, gone through that. But I think it might resonate more if they casted like an actual Jewish actor for Magneto.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. You make a good point there.
But he would be fucking awesome as a villain, like in general. He would be so good.
Imagine him as a Doctor Doom, maybe. Like
Doctor Doom would be such a fucking good role for him. Because Latveria, doesn't have to be anything.
The voice and the poise for it, like he's just perfect. He plays such a good bad guy. My only concerns with him playing Magneto or any villain for that matter, number one, his schedule. Hectic. Like, depending on how long The Mandalorian runs or depending on how long The Boys runs for that matter, like he's pretty booked up. So, I mean, if he can squeeze in a Marvel film or a Marvel like TV show at some point within the next 5 years, like I don't know how much longer those other two shows I mentioned have in them, but yeah.
It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome. I would love for him to be involved with the MCU.
Fantastic.
He would be a great Magneto. I just would be interested in how they would make him, relevant to modern day. I think it'd be an interesting kind of thing.
What I'm interested in is how they explain Magneto's existence in this universe, because like freaking one big thing about him is he's Wanda's dad.
Yeah. And
Wanda's got no family left, guys. So I don't even know if Magneto's going to show up, period. We'll see, though. Luke says Gary Oldman would be perfect for Nightmare. Thank you. Play some good bad guys like Leon the Professional. I'm thinking of him in Air Force One. He was the bad guy terrorist in that one. So, he's a great villain. Not something a lot of people think about these days. But, we got WandaVision. We got WandaVision covered. Falcon and Winter Soldier is...
We could talk a bit more about what we think could happen in Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes. What do you think?
I'm excited to see what happens at the end of the show. I'm like, these are my guarantees of what's going to happen. Falcon's going to take up the role of Cap, and he's going to earn it. And I'm going to be so excited once we have our Captain America again. Winter Soldier may or may not disappear. It'd be interesting if he were working with like U.S. agent. Like this is if John Walker doesn't turn out to be the villain, and he's more like, he snaps and spirals out of control, and then redeems himself. Winter Soldier and U.S. agent being like a tag team kind of thing, and like doing the harder core missions, whereas Sam deals with Avengers level stuff and like less violent, dark, gritty stuff.
Right.
And then Torres, the guy who's been basically kind of following the Flag Smashers, he's going to pick up the mantle of Falcon and go with Sam around and being part of the Avengers team.
Oh, Torres. I like Torres. He's cool.
Yeah, I like him too.
Character. Yeah, he seems very laid back. He seems like a guy I'd like to hang out with at one of those restaurants in Tunisia. So, or at a bar.
Hold on. Someone had a comment that I think we need to address. Cliff's comment.
Welcome, Cliff, by the way. Hi, how you doing? Not to jump back to DC, but I think Giancarlo Esposito would be a great Mr. Freeze. Oh my God. Do you guys want to freaking kill this guy's schedule? Do you want him to have a normal life?
He'd be legitimately perfect.
He would. I'm not disagreeing here, but I'm like, man, his schedule, again, like depending on if he can fit this in, I would love to see this, Cliff. That's a great casting.
Holy shit. I need to see
that. Yeah. And
because imagine a live action Mr. Freeze that isn't Schwarzenegger would be absolutely amazing to kind of deal with.
Just don't give him any puns, please. That'd be great. No puns.
You're allowed one pun. One.
you're allowed only one pun.
When he sees him, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Do you think Magneto will turn out to be Wanda's real father in the MCU? I think it's still a possibility.
I think it'd be interesting.
It would be interesting. They just need to explain it in a good way because, again, Wanda's family's all gone. She's got nobody. So
I think the way they would they would have to do it is because they already showed her father and her mother is like her mother, got pregnant by some other guy, and then her father, her real father, her dad, took care of them and the family and stuff like that. While Magneto went off to do stupid mutant shit. Not
right.
stupid mutant shit, obviously, but was not home, was not helping his children.
Damn it, Luke. Damn it, Luke. I still see you. Let's see. Eric gets a prediction. Falcon is going to get a new title / suit. I think that might be how all the Disney Plus shows end. Well, because that's a good point. Because
he's going to get a new title and shoot.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch got a new look, so wouldn't put it past them if that was the pattern. But I think that might end with Loki, because Loki is going to be a completely different show, and I'm so excited to see that.
Yeah, that's going to be a wild ride.
Another topic for another time. Welcome, Tomas. What are you doing, man? John Walker is not my Captain America.
No, never.
He's not. Never has a freaking Marvel character got so much heat from only a few seconds on screen.
And it's perfect because the whole idea of this Captain America now is they're trying to do what they did to Cap in the first Avenger, which is use him as a propaganda tool, as a piece to drum up support for wars and whatnot across the world. And John Walker is not, a bad guy necessarily at this point, but he fits that to a T. He's a good soldier, but that's not what makes Cap Cap. Like, the whole point is Captain America showing what America can and should be. And John Walker ain't that. John Walker ain't Captain America. He's the corporate picked, goody two shoes, safe choice for them.
He's the corporate champion in mine and Tomas's terms. But
corporate champion. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, but that whole corporate propaganda feels very dated because you compared it to the first Avenger. That's a period movie, and that stuff could be very cheesy, and it was really funny to watch Chris Evans kind of strut around on stage with all those flapper girls or whatever they were. But now it's just it's kind of dated.
It is kind of dated, but the thing is that it's the way that we propagandize things is different. Like when he was signing a bunch of toys, when he was signing and giving autographs of posters and stuff, that's modern day propagandizing, and it's not, propaganda isn't necessarily terrible. It's just inherently agendized, it's inherently for an agenda, and the agenda is to rally America behind a new Captain America, whether that's to gather all the lost souls after the blip happened, or to just kind of say America's back on track, watch out world. It's still propaganda. It's still very much him being puppeteered by big government financial forces. Because remember, Cap was a fugitive of the government before the snap happened.
Yep.
And that's what Sam mentions in the second episode. He's like, I was on the run for 2 years with Cap. I had to give up the shield. I don't think it represents me. But then once he sees someone who definitely does not represent Captain America, that's when the gears start turning in his head. And then Bucky says it to him straight, and I love that. He's like, Cap believed in you. He said you deserved it. Why aren't you holding it? Why aren't you taking it up? And then Sam says the most poignant thing is why can't you guys just accept I did what I thought was right? And it was he's a black man trying to live up to a white Captain America, which isn't going to be possible for him in America. That's just the sad reality of him. There's always going to be people who call him the black Captain America and not Captain America. There's always going to be people who just don't like him because of the color of his skin.
Yeah. And ironically enough, the only one really who thinks he did the right thing, Sam, that is Rhodey, another black man. That was a great scene and a great cameo that Rhodey had in the premiere. Also, fantastic exchange in that little museum right there. But you make a lot of excellent points.
And because that's the thing, they both understand that they're gonna get haters no matter what. They have haters in real life. There's so many people that probably really hate them just for being them, but they would praise Captain America regardless. It's just ridiculous. And I love that Marvel's leaning into this, and this is to go back to the Snyder Cut and how different they approach just blackness and black superheroism. Because Marvel has always been the one that kind of deals with real people and real life things, and they're leaning into hard. Like they had Bucky and Sam surrounded by police officers after having an argument.
God, that was, I mean, relevant right now. Just for like, a bunch of cops surrounding them just for, just because they get mad at one another. And then they both have to go to the government therapy, I think, is kind of cheesy in some ways. Like how close they got to each other was like, I could definitely tell that they, are friends in real life and they enjoy messing with each other that way. That must have been improvised, but like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of silly. Bucky's whole therapy angle, I get.
It's just, I think it's a way to kind of like show that he wants to be able to change, but he can't really, because he was the Winter Soldier. And this is the other aspect of Winter Soldier that I have, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that I really love, is that they show the two sides of American policy in the world, like the hopeful, more striving for idealism type of Cap stuff. And then the dark, gritty reality of the covert ops, the secret agent stuff, the super shitty things that the government does to people. Like they also explore that with, I hate that I can't remember his name, with the first like black super soldier, and how the government fucking jailed him for 30 years.
It was Isaiah.
I think it was Isaiah. With
Isaiah. I know his son's name was Elijah.
Yeah. And so of Isaiah, like they show just how like the dark reality of sometimes this country, it just doesn't live up to its ideals at all the times, And I think that's what this show is about living up to those ideals, and how John Walker's going to miss the mark, and how Sam's hopefully going to take up the mantle and be the Cap that we all deserve.
Yeah. Before we move on to another little topic I want to address with this show, I got to catch up on some of these comments. Yeah. So Moss is talking about Giancarlo Esposito is also in The Boys, the corporate villain. He's fantastic in that. We were talking about The Boys a little bit earlier. Still need to get through that. It's you got a lot of stuff to watch as a critic, but
you should watch The Boys, especially after watching all the Marvel stuff. Watch The Boys, finish it.
Planning on it. Haven't watched the Snyder Cut yet, and I don't know if I want to. I wasn't a fan of the Justice League, and I don't know if I want to sit through a 4-hour version of it. Do it,
Tomas. Do it.
Absolutely.
It is 100% better than the other cut. Of the action sequences are like top notch, like straight up, like they're better than the Marvel movies. I'm gonna say that. Like for the stuff that they do in there, I think it's cooler to look at than a lot of Marvel stuff. Oh, and we didn't even talk about the Flash's like big like scenes. I'm not gonna say it because you haven't seen it yet. I don't want to spoil for it because it's fucking awesome. But like the Flash's powers, like they show them off.
So cool.
Like it's worth it. It is worth the 4 hours, even if it's just once. Watch it and then hate on it later. Like it, just at least get your own opinion because it is very different.
Absolutely.
Low key thought they were gonna kiss in the last episode. Not even joking.
God damn it. Next.
This is like the fan shipping that everyone wants. I don't want them to be together.
Totally.
They shouldn't. They're straight men. They shouldn't be together, by the way.
Yeah. Eric thinks Bucky is the character is most curious about what will happen at the end. I feel like his role in the MCU is not at all obvious. You want a hot take, guys? I think Bucky's course in the MCU has almost been completely run. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they killed him off by the series finale.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I think it would be the biggest way to kind of show that Sam needs to be Captain America by killing Bucky, or having Bucky, sacrifice himself for Sam in some way to kind of remind him like, this is what Cap is all about,
Yep. And he did have that one scene in the last episode where he's flirting with that girl in the bar and she's like, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 104 years old.
Like he's lived his life.
She gets so freaked out, but he's like accepted that he's accepted rather that he's lived long and pretty useful and pretty fruitful life. So
I wouldn't say it was a fruitful life. I think his life has been kind of like
that was the wrong word.
Like he's had a long life and he's kind of tired, is what I would like. Yeah, I think what you're trying to say. eventful.
life.
He wants to just settle down and have a quiet life like Steve does, but he doesn't get that. I think the thing that it's gonna suck is that he doesn't feel like he deserves that because of all the shit he was forced to do. And then 2, I don't think he wants that really. I think he wants to, cross off his list. He wants to get his shit done. And then after that, he's going to peace out and either, go out in a blaze of glory, or if he's lucky, go on a date and then, live his life normally. But we'll just have to see. Like, because it can go anywhere from here. He could be in the next Captain America movie from here on out. He could die in the next episode. Not really. He's not going to die in the next episode. He could die at the end of the series. Like, there's just so...
I think
we just have to wait for.
Again, like, I don't want to do like big bold predictions, but it almost feels like Bucky's time in the MCU has almost run its course.
No, you're right.
So
100%. I don't know where they go after this, which is why I'm like, they either kill him, give him a happy ending, or they work him into more of the stories. In which case, it's just a revitalization of this new Winter Soldier.
For sure, Gabby doesn't want Bucky to die. Like, I know a lot of people wanted Bucky to be the new Cap, but in this universe, it doesn't really make sense because he's already been deemed public enemy number 1 in Civil War as this big old terrorist, Like, he can't be the new Cap. Like, that can't be the new face. That sends a bad message. So I think
100%.
having Sam do that is 150,000% the right choice. And I agree with Cisco. I think it's going to be a fantastic journey to the point where he has earned the shield right here. One of my favorite shirts, actually, that I bought from Target not too long ago. It's cool. It's comfortable. I love it. I love
Shout out Target.
Cap. I love me some Cap. It's Eric. Sam can be the new Cap and Bucky can be his new Bucky.
I wouldn't be upset if, we had more buddy tag teams with them. Like, I would not be upset if this is how Bucky redeems himself in the future, like working with Captain America and helping him out. But the thing is, like, he was run his course. Like, I think you're right. I think
what this whole show reminds me of, Cisco? It almost makes me think of, like, how I said Black Widow, like, towards the top of this stream? It almost made me think of like a Mission Impossible or a Bourne film in the MCU universe. This, to me, almost feels like the Lethal Weapon movies. Like those big buddy cop, those big banter buddy cop type movies with the badass action. So
I could see that.
Like Marvel's answer to Lethal Weapon. Like, just got to put all those analogies in there.
I could see it. I could see it. I don't think I'd want that, but I could see it.
All right. Yeah. I think we're getting close to wrapping up. A couple more comments. Sam 100% should be Cap. Yeah, man. He's going to be. We just got to be patient. Until Moss, if Bucky dies, it would be closure for Bucky. You think so, Cisco?
I think so. I think the best closure for Bucky would be to have him, do his list of all the Hydra agents he wants to kill. Because that's how he's going to get redemption in his eyes. They're the people that forced him into doing all this terrible, horrible shit. The people who brainwashed him, people who are manipulating the world, and they're Nazis. Fuck them.
Fuck them.
And so, like, once he's done doing that list, like, what else does he have to look forward to? Like, he can't really date. Like, you saw how terrible he was on that date, Like, I think he just wants rest. And I think he won't be able to rest until he can, like, see that, like, Steve's legacy continues on with Sam. And I think that's might be what pushes Sam to accept that legacy by Bucky not being Captain America, but living up to the ideals that Steve set. Because remember what he says in this past episode. He said, because if he was wrong about you, then that means he's wrong about me, and I can't come back, and I'm always going to be the Winter Soldier. I'm always going to be a bad person. And I think his final act should be him proving to himself that he is a good person, that he is the person that Cap saw him as being, while also motivating Sam to become the new Cap.
Yeah. Well said, my friend. Last couple comments. Eric says, I'm still not sure they will kill as big of a character as Bucky in a TV show, but I could be wrong. Didn't Vision technically die in the last show?
That was like his third death, right?
That was like the third time he bit the dust. Like Infinity War. Did he die in Endgame? I don't remember. He wasn't even in Endgame, was he?
No,
he wasn't.
Twice in Infinity War.
He died twice in Infinity War, and then he died once in WandaVision for good. So, like, I think this could be a fitting farewell for Bucky, similar to how WandaVision was Paul Bettany's farewell. So,
I mean, he's still White Vision, but like White Vision's probably going to show up just briefly in Universe of Madness.
Briefly, yeah. But in terms of like big, in-depth character performances, I think that was it for Paul Bettany. I think he's moving on to other pastures. Speaking of Black Widow, Florence Pugh has successfully infiltrated all my fandoms between Marvel and playing Paige and fighting with my family. Yeah, same here, man. That's where I was introduced to Florence Pugh. But let's. Okay, should we address this or should we not?
What? Address what?
So apparently Florence Pugh is going to be in the Hawkeye show.
Oh,
that makes. We were talking about this before we hit go, but Black Widow, I think if there's going to be a big cameo in there, because we were discussing that possibility, if there is going to be a big cameo, it's going to be Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye or Haley Steinfeld in her first appearance as Kate Bishop. But I think Cisco thinks that they're like saving Haley Steinfeld for the show. And
I think it makes more sense because Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye is the only one with a connection to Black Widow. He'd be the only person I think would make sense to have connection, because technically the new Hawkeye takes place after the blip, after Black Widow has been dead. So I don't see any way where they would meet and it would make sense. So I think Hawkeye's going to show up, at the end of Black Widow, or, sometime in the middle of Black Widow, probably more likely.
Yeah. So, I mean, if the rumors are true and Florence Pugh is going to make an appearance in Hawkeye, there you go.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, my friends, I think that just about wraps it up for this live stream. Cisco, always a pleasure having you on. Do you want to plug your show one more time for the viewers?
Yeah, finally. It's always a pleasure to be on your show, Zach. I'm going to plug my podcast. It is called the Spoken Misc. You can find it on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. Zach has been a guest on the show. It's pretty much a conversation show about asking each other 10 questions about anything and everything. And then, just chit-chatting for like 2 hours or so. Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, and I have left a link to his Spotify channel down in the description. Go give him some love because he deserves it. Guys, thank you again so much for joining. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give us a good old thumbs up on your way out, if you please. I'm planning on doing a lot more live streams very, very soon. Topics to be determined. I hope to see you all again for the next one. You guys are the best, as always.
Hit like and subscribe.
Yes, absolutely. Do all of those things. Night, everybody. With all that being said, commence that back talk, y'all. Bye.